So one of the things which I think everybody in this room would be aware of is the fight to save the rivers of Pune that has been going on now for quite some time, over a decade now, with leading institutions like Jeevan Nadi at the forefront, Ecological Society, Center for Sustainable Development, and then the entire Pune River Revival movement. I don't think I have to say this, but a living river is priceless, it's invaluable. And this is absolutely common knowledge. Unfortunately, for an economist, common knowledge and priceless are not words in their dictionary. Yeah, we have a couple of economists in this room, so I'm taking this courage to say that. Professor Paranspe, I don't know whether you will agree with me or you will have even harsher words for that, right? Therefore, it becomes the cardinal duty of the citizens of Pune to put a value to the invaluable precious water that they've been getting. And I keep saying this often. Those who are the real Punekars here would know the term Punyacha Pani. Right? Punyacha Pani is used as a metaphor. It's used as as something which to describe the Punekars. But Punyacha Pani is indeed one of the best waters you can get in the entire country. We are at the source region. We are at the foothills of the Sahyadri. We are at the source region of some of the greatest peninsular rivers, and we get the most unpolluted water right from that source region to our houses. The only thing which happens in between is human interventions, human pollution, which goes on from the reservoirs into our houses. So we decided to put a value to this. It's quite unfortunate that you have to put a rupee value to nature services, ecosystem services, and natural capital, so to say. But it's required if you want to argue with somebody who is for development. In a river, you can put a monetary value to an infrastructure project. So the Riverfront Development Project has a monetary value of around 4,200 crores, which has now gone even more than that. But the catchment area of Panche, Timghar, Varasgaon does not have any monetary value. And this is where we decided to bring in this wonderful trio led by Professor TVRAMACHANDRA of Indian Institute of Science. Those of you who have worked in aquatic ecosystems, especially rivers and natural capital, would surely have referred to some of his papers and his work. So I'm not really introducing Professor Ramachandra Rao as much as introducing the efforts that they have put in here. Professor Ramachandra is the coordinator for the Energy and Wetlands Research Group at the Indian Institute of Science. And with him are Paras and Tulika, who are the two wonderful duo PhD students of Professor TVR, as he likes to be called. And I now, without wasting any more time, I would love to invite TVR to come up on the stage.
Thank you for inviting me to share what we have done for the last 6 months. It's nice to see Dr. Paranjape in the audience and also my colleague Professor Joshi in the audience, and also IISc director in the audience. The work what we have done over a period of last 6 months, we have tried to document it, and today I am going to give the highlights of the talk. First I will tell you about what is the purpose, why we have done this study, what is the protocol we have followed, and then see, these are required to have green GDP, which is required to sustain the natural resources. I know this room has large number of economists. The problem with the current metrics, economic metrics, what people call GDP. Please don't feel bad if I use harsh word. According to me, it is a not gross domestic product, it is a gross distorted product. Because when we do the project, we look at only the output. We do not account the degradation cost. If we have done that, probably we would have had sustainable development. People would have given importance to the ecosystem and would have conserved the ecosystem. That's where we have been looking at how to have green GDP In various forums I have been talking, including United Nations. So, and essentially when you do the valuation of the ecosystem, it curtails fraudulent practices in the development project. The developer will only tell you what is the benefit you get, what is the recreation, etc. But never reveal how much he has damaged the ecosystem. Okay? Then more importantly, changes in climate is happening. We need to do something for our children. Otherwise, we are leaving the world which is very hostile to them. Okay? Then I will take you to the study what I did in Western Ghats. I'll highlight the ecosystem services, the case studies, carbon and water, and then come to the Mula-Mutha catchment and show how we did the study in Mula-Mutha. And finally, what we have done for society as academicians. I am satisfied with my work. That's what every academician has to do in the country. If they are satisfied with their work and how they benefit our society, I think we have done our job. Now, the protocol what we use for accounting is the SIA, the developed at the United Nations. There is a history. How did United Nations contacted me at Indian Institute of Science? I had published an article sometime back on valuation of ecosystem, the forest ecosystem in 2017, sometime back on valuation of wetland ecosystem. The United Nations saw our documents and they asked me whether I can do it for 10 districts in Karnataka with a revised protocol. That's what developed at SIA. I was also part of that 179 countries where we developed the protocol. So then I was supposed to do the 10 district. I signed the MOU. Unfortunate thing happened was the COVID hit the streets. But that was fortunate for me and my team, since because of the COVID, I have to stay in Bangalore, not moving out for meetings or field work, not that much field work. 5 of my students and myself, we worked on ecosystem services for forest ecosystem, wetland ecosystem and agriculture ecosystem, not just 10 districts, all districts in Karnataka, 31 districts. And we presented that. I was invited to the United Nations. When I presented that, one of the delegates, probably from one of the European country, got up. She said, I am surprised. All countries are doing only small province and all, and that to small region. And how did India could do it for one federal state, huge area, and that to 3 ecosystems? Then I said, that is the beauty of my country. Youth are the asset of my nation. When youth start working, we will be in the forefront. And that's what this work demonstrates. And when I submitted a report, Springer came forward asking me whether they can publish it as a book. And we published it as a book. Last year, October 24, it got published by Springer. When you look at the SIA protocol, there are 4 components. First, you should know what is the spatial extent of the ecosystem. If it's a forest, what is the area of that, what are type of forest, etc. Then, condition of the ecosystem, because ecosystem spatial extent and condition decides the services. That is where you get the goods and services from the ecosystem. If the ecosystem is bad, then you don't get the service. So the benefit to the society, we are assessing through the ecosystem services. For that, you should know the condition of the ecosystem, and for that you should know how the condition has changed over a period of time. Then the third component was the ecosystem goods and services. We looked at the both tangible and non-tangible benefits, what we get from the ecosystem. Then finally, the monetary asset. We calculated what is the worth of the asset. Okay. So now, to assess ecosystem extent, I am very fortunate because I am born in the period we launched the satellites. The remote sensing data was available, pictures of the earth was available. I could see the changes happening after my birth. Last 5 decades, what changes have happened in the system, I could do it because from 1970, picture of the earth is available at every 21 or 30 days interval. That temporal data helped in assessing the extent and also the dynamics, how it is changing. Picture is worth million words. People can manipulate when they write, but picture cannot. You cannot do that. So that is what we use to assess the extent. Then we also assess the condition of the forest ecosystem. One of the variables we did was the fragmentation of forest. How the forest is fragmented, whether it's an intact forest or it is a perforated and fragmentation and the various levels of the fragmentation. There are indices to do that. The fragmentation indices, we computed PF and BFF. These are simple things. Proportion of you take a kernel of 3 by 3, find out what is the proportion of the pixels under forest versus non-forest. When you take the ratio, you get PF. Similarly, you compute PFF in the cardinal direction. Then there are set of values which says if PF is 1, that means all our forest, intact forest has to be there. So that is how we computed PF, PFF, and based on that we assess what is the condition of the ecosystem. Then, when I came to IISc, I was really surprised. In fact, when I was entering the IISc guest house, I saw this. That reflects the services provided by the ecosystem and all the biota benefited because of the ecosystems. Look at the simple thing, how the birds are getting the benefit and the insects are getting, you can see the honeybee hive, and also you see the nutrient flow and there is a water, the well is there, there's a link between the water, the vegetation to the thing. What a wonderful thinking these people had. And that too, when I came, I saw that. And I saw that Tulika was so amazed with that thing. She was taking photograph. I said, this is a wonderful thing. We are at the right place for the right thing. Okay? See, that is where I like Pune. Pune is, those who have looked at my article, I make one statement. Science, society, culture and spirituality has to go hand in hand if you want to see the prosperity in the system. Pune is a culture city. Science is strong here. Society is quite active. That's evident from the audience today here. And spirituality is there. What we need to do is what we have learned. We have to make our youth to wake up. Today in the audience I see hardly few youth. Had it been slightly more, then I would have said we have done our job. That is where if you want to see the sustainability in the system, we have to make sure our youth also become an active partner in the system. When you talk about sustainability, renewability is the important concept. When there is a renewability, you will have sustainability. Okay? Now, this is how we do the quantification ecosystem services. We look at the provisioning services like tangible benefit like timber, fuel wood, non-timber forest produce like spices, etc. Then regulating services, we look at the carbon sequestration, microclimate moderation, then groundwater recharge, pollination services, etc. Then cultural services which are recreation, aesthetic and information services. The statement what I had written in the box I have already uttered. We need to have green GDP in our country. We can reach, I have no problem with this $5 trillion economy, but I want green GDP in the system. So now that's what happens. When you have green GDP, you have sustainable growth. There is an integration when I talk about sustainability, environment, economic and social. You need to have social inclusiveness and you need to have economic prudence. You should not allow one section of the society to become richer and richer in the system. When I see the degradation of a lake, I monitor lakes in Bangalore over a 2.5 decades. Last 1.5 decade, what I noticed, some fellow start dumping the solid waste. Building debris. It goes on for 10 years. Then one fine day, he will convince the chief minister of the state saying that, oh, this is a degraded region, it's of no use. At that time, he also makes the local people to feel some uncomfortable situation with mosquito and anesthetic situation, etc. Then he achieved the purpose of converting that ecosystem for his benefit. So that is what we need to understand. Something with the sustainability. What I have learned in textbook versus what I learned from this lady. This lady is about 65 plus. I work in Western Ghats. When I was in the field work in Aganashni River, she was collecting bivalves. Bivalves are the marine organism with the shell outside and organism inside, which has an economical value. She was collecting one basket full of bivalves every day. I noticed for a week, she and her daughter-in-law together. Then I asked her, you finish your job, you start your job at 6 o'clock, end at 7:30, but you can collect one more basket, why you are not doing it? She told me, which opened my eyes, she told me something very interesting. She said, when I sell this basket full of bivalves today, I get 350 rupees. That is sufficient for me to run my family. For tomorrow, I will earn tomorrow. But what we are doing, elite section of the society, we want FD in our unborn great-grandchild also. That is where the problem is happening in the system. That is where the unfortunate things are happening in the system. Okay? So now we understood the sustainability. So that's what we published a book. It's called Natural Capital Accounting and Valuation Ecosystem Survey. Probably this is the first of its kind in the country. Okay? People have worked on the sectors. Madhu Verma and many people have done the job. But we could do it in a much comprehensive way, covering the three ecosystems. So thanks to my students, okay? Now, let us see the change in climate. When I talk about climate change, some people say that no changes are not happening, include my big brother who is ruling the United States. So for him and for the people who don't believe, I show the data. I always talk with the data. When you look at the data, the temperature is changing, increasing, which means there's something is happening. Okay? When I look at what is the causal factor, the greenhouse gas emission is correlated with the temperature. That means there's some linkage in the two. Now, so what is the problem? Next question people ask is, what is the problem? If temperature is this one, I am using AC, what's your problem? They ask me in Bangalore. For them, the problem is the calamities, the disaster. Last 1.5 decade it has increased. Not only that, sea level is rising. The cities like Mumbai, Mangalore, Karwar will disappear. Cochin, Trivandrum will disappear. So then, more importantly, those who continue to live will not have food. How it happens? Look at the corals. With 1.5 degrees Celsius increase in temperature, I will lose 70%. Another 0.5 degrees Celsius, I will lose 99%. Or if you look at insects, these are all endemic species. Insects, plants and vertebrate. I lose 6 insects, 9 plants and 4 vertebrate. If I increase the temperature by another 0.5 degrees Celsius, it becomes 18, 16 and the 8. Then look at the drought. About 410 million people going to be affected with a 2-degree increase in temperature. We talked about in various meetings, Glasgow to the Paris, everywhere we spoke about it, we said we'll bring it down. But already we are increased. So, and sea level rise, what is 49 centimeter with 1.5 will go up to 56 centimeters. And about 50 million people going to be affected. Okay? So now we understood changes in climate is happening, it is impacting, the cities are becoming vulnerable, the floods are happening. Cloudburst is a clear indication. And the cyclones and the frequent cyclones and the changes in depression in the Bay of Bengal and Arabian Sea is another indicator. Coastal areas are becoming vulnerable, cities are becoming vulnerable. More importantly, our food productivity is going to be affected. If there are no pollinators, pollinating insects are declining. That is where we will pay the price. To summarize, food security, water availability gets affected, cities become vulnerable. And more importantly, public health. Dengue, chikungunya and such vector-borne diseases will increase in the system. We just escaped from COVID. There are many people died, but some of us were lucky to commit more sin, we are still there. So now, if you want to mitigate the changes in climate, you need to conserve the biodiversity on the earth. Look at the diversity what we have got in the system. In one taluk in the district where I work, Uttar Kannada district, I have 54 varieties of rice which is climate resilient. If I hybridize it, I have a better product. I don't need suitcase driven GE product, genetically modified crops in India. I have my own resources. I need to make my student to look at how to hybridize it and get a better product. Similarly, brinjal. In one village, I have 8 varieties of brinjal. Instead of trying out hybridizing, we want BT brinjal. Okay? And now let's look at on the earth how much diversity we have. As you all know, we have only one earth, whether you are American or a Pakistani or Indian. And as per our scripture, Rig Veda, there are 8 to 12 million species on the earth. Of course, in science, we have estimated 1.5 million species. Out of 1.5 million species of plant and animals, we have found out the biochemical composition of only 15%. Even before we find out the biochemical composition of the entire 1.5 million, we are losing them because of irresponsible actions and the mismanagement, etc. 8 to 12 million species. That's what we have inherited. We have to be proud of our culture, legacy. That even microorganisms they have visualized. Even the science we have not done it still. Okay. So now, which part of the earth has the highest diversity of plant and animal? When you look at it, as you move latitudinally, you see at 8 to 16 degree latitude, you have the highest number of plants and animal varieties, which corresponds to Kerala, Karnataka, Tamil Nadu, Goa, and part of the Maharashtra. That means all of us have inherited this rich diversity. It's our responsibility to maintain the intergeneration equity, to pass on this to our children without disturbing it. That's what the decision makers of today. See, what has happened with them is the way they carry the briefcases, the brain power has gone. That's where the problem starts. Okay? We analyzed what changes are happening in the Western Ghats, using the temporal data. Earlier to analyze one district, I used to take about 8 months or 12 months. My guide, Professor Joshi, is in the audience, he will tell you. But today, entire Western Ghats, in a matter of 8 months, my student has done it because of the machine learning algorithm. See, we have improved our ability to analyze. Now, data is not a constraint. Ability to do is not a constraint. Only getting the right students to the science is the more important thing. We have to do that. And when we analyze, forests are also getting fragmented. Now we also visualize, because of this temporal analysis, you can find out what is likely to happen in another 10 years. Forests will lose more forests. Only 18% under forest in Western Ghats, entire Western Ghats. Government of India norms says 33%. But we have only 18% in Western Ghats. That is ecologically fragile, ecologically sensitive region. Not only that, forests are getting fragmented. Now, consequence of that, temperature will shoot up. Kerala will become warmer by 1.5 degrees. This I published in 2018. And rainfall pattern will change. Number of rainy days, it's 4 months or 6 months in Kerala. Instead of that, you will have a large quantum of rainfall in short duration, which we call it a high intensity rainfall. With high intensity rainfall, you have instances of landslides, mudslides, etc. If you read that paper, what we have published in 2018, I had added a paragraph saying that with the landslides, mudslides, the regions in Karnataka, some of the regions in Karnataka and Kerala will become vulnerable. I don't know. When I wrote what happened to me, I wrote it. But 2019, when there was a high intensity rainfall, there were landslide, mudslides, and there was mortality related to the mudslide in Markera in Karnataka and other districts in Karnataka, Shimoga, etc., and also in Kerala. Last year, in Kerala, why not face the crisis? You might ask, how did science meet the destination? The moment landslide happened, all this, the decision makers started looking at our paper. They were landing in my office asking for solution. I told my students, we have reached one destination, but don't be surprised if they forget it after a week. They forgot. To remind them, last year, why not happened? Look at Wayanad. The tragic case, what is happening in Pune happened in Wayanad. Wayanad, that is an ecologically sensitive region. ESR1, I'll show you in few minutes. And there, these people who are planters, who are sitting in Mumbai, Bangalore and Chennai, they hired people who are experts in cutting the trees. They cut the trees. Then they stayed in the tea plantation, they gave the job. When this last year rain happened, that population was wiped out. 150 families washed away. We lost the talented people. That's the tragedy. Who is responsible? The same elite section of the society sitting in Mumbai, Bangalore or Chennai, because of their money power, they were destroying the ecosystem which was required for our children. So that is where you might ask, you are against them. I said the entire Western Ghats is only 5% of India. I have given 95% of India for your so-called developmental thing. Why do you worry about my 5% of forest in Western Ghats? That's my question. So far, no bureaucrats have answered my question. Okay. Now, let us see the services done by the forest. I'm sure you are all breathing. You can check. When you breathe, you give out a carbon dioxide to an extent of 540 to 980 grams per person per day. That is getting into the atmosphere. We have only one earth. The forest on the earth does the job of sequestering the carbon during the photosynthesis. And that's how you get oxygen. And that carbon gets stored in the form of the carbohydrate, gets stored in the plants. How much carbon that is stored in the plants? You can quantify using the above ground biomass, below ground biomass. That's where we need to know the species, type of the forest, and we measure the girth and height. That's where Madam Revati helped us when we were doing the field work in the region. She was telling us what are the species, and she also noticed what we are doing with the thing. Every alternate tree we were hugging and measuring the girth of a tree and finding out the height of the tree. That is required to quantify the above ground biomass. And below ground biomass is 26% of the above ground biomass. And we collected some soil samples and we quantified the soil carbon through the CHN analyzer. Now we have the total carbon for the entire Western Ghats, because I have been working in the Western Ghats for the last 2.5 decades. Okay, and every year how much carbon that gets stored also we quantified. The entire Western Ghats, the forest ecosystem, 1.28 million gigagram of carbon is stored. And every year about 37,000 gigagram of carbon get stored. And if I assign the economic value as per the social cost, what Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation talks about it, it works out to be 100 billion rupees or $1.4 billion. You might ask, what is the use of this? When I go as a part of the government delegation to the other countries, I tell them, the carbon that is emitted during your industrialization is in our forests. Our forests have done a wonderful job of taking away the carbon from the atmosphere. You need to pay 100 billion rupees to my country. That's the money I can get for conservation without crying for money in our country. That's how the science helps, okay? Now, next is the water. I asked about oxygen requirement. Next is, I have not come across any human being without water. Some people claim that they don't require water because they think that they live only on beer. Okay. Now for them also, if they don't require, at least their children requires it. No, this is all the arrogant people I have come across in my life. Okay. That's where I come out with those statements. This is the condition in a Western Ghats when I was young. 91 as a student when I was doing field work. Today the same location, I don't have the water. As a researcher, I took up the study. What I did is, I put the sensors in the underlying layer to find out how much water get infiltrated when it rains. If the catchment is dominated by native species forest, another catchment dominated by monoculture plantation, like you have Gliricidia here, something similar, rubber, acacia, eucalyptus, etc. Other one urban, the fourth one the agriculture. Like that, we selected 32 watershed. We measured it for 3 years, 36 months, mainly because we wanted to see the seasonal difference and also the year-to-year variability. You know, my study shows when the catchment is dominated by native species forest, they are diverse. Because they are diverse, roots are also diverse. When the roots are diverse, soil microorganisms are abundant and diverse. When soil microorganism is diverse and abundant, soil becomes porous or permeability, which you can assess through the soil measurements. When the soil is permeable, it allows the water to percolate. It fills this zone, the saturated zone or the groundwater zone. When you dig for a water in the well, you reach that white portion, that is the groundwater zone. And above that is a Vadose zone. Only after filling the water in this zone, you will see a water flowing in a stream or a river in the catchment. That means in Karnataka I get a rainfall for 4 months. I have water in the stream for 4 months because of the rain. Next for 8 months, because the water stored here during the monsoon of 4 months, the water start moving laterally to the water body. You know, that's how I have 4 months the water stored in this zone in the water body. Next 4 months, because of the water stored in the saturated zone, which means the catchment dominated by native species forest will have the water bodies are perennial or 12 months water. It is because of the infiltration of the water. When we have urbanized system, concretization, which have filled the coffers of the bureaucrat, but not the common man, he will lose the water, but he will face the problem of the flooding, etc. Now, to summarize what I said so far, here is the region, 12 months water is available, green are 8 months, this is 6 months, this is 4 months. Just overlay the vegetation cover. Wherever native species forests are there, you have 12 months water. Wherever forests are fragmented, depending on the scale of fragmentation, you have 8 to 6 months of water. Wherever forest cover is less than the 30%, you have only 4 months of water. You know, and also we looked at the societal requirement. The water required for the drinking, irrigation, you know, the horticulture, then the agriculture, then the livestock rearing, etc. In this region where forests are there, about 60 to 65% of the rainfall get infiltrated. In this region where we converted forest in the name of development, we see only 28 to 30% of the rainfall getting infiltrated. Okay. Now look at this region. People say if the forests are there, development cannot happen. No. Look at here. The demand for water is higher. People are getting enough water because the availability of water is higher than the demand. Whereas here, the demand for water is there, but there is no water. The 8 months the people don't have water. Now let us look at how this decides the livelihood of the people. The farmers in this region, because 12 months water is available, they can grow cash crop or multiple crop. And their earning is 1,54,000 rupees per acre per year. Whereas in this region, where forests are not there or forests are fragmented, they can grow only one crop. Their earning is 32,000 rupees per acre per year. Okay. Now you see 32,000 to 1,54,000 per acre per year. How the livelihood of the people are decided. The more importantly, the farmers in this region, they get the yield of the crop almost twice the farmers in this region. When I did the study, it is because of the efficient pollination. Why the efficient pollination happens? Because of the forest, pollinators are abundant. Because of that diverse pollinators and abundant pollinator, I have the efficient pollination. That's where the yield of the crop is higher. As high as, for example, paddy is about 14 to 18 quintal per acre, whereas here 6 to 8 quintal per acre. Now the government of India want to double the income of the farmers. Now, if you just maintain the forest, income of the farmers are doubled. There's no need to give that money of 10,000 every year. What is the need for that? We should not allow the forest to happen. You know, I was told that you have a young chief minister, you should convey this to him so that at least forests getting degraded in the region can be curtailed. Okay, this we published in the current science in 2020. You know, till then, the people, you know, the people who graduated with me, we all read the earlier literatures of the Western countries. people thought that where it was written, if the trees are there, evapotranspiration is higher and you will lose the water. That's why those who have become engineers in power corporation, etc., first thing they do is they cut the trees. With our work, we have proved them wrong. We said if trees are there, water retention is much higher, and that has the highest citation. You know that what it means for an academician, highest citation means, okay? So now, let's look at our scriptures. You all know the Lord Shiva. His head is covered with hair. As long as hair is there, he can retain Ganga and you have water on the earth. Now, to understanding the importance of that forest and the linkage with the society through the water, our elders protected patch of forest. They declared it as Devarakadu, a sacred forest, or Rai, or Khan, or Kau, in a various region. For example, Goa they say Rai, and in Karnataka we say Devarakadu. But unfortunately today, you see that is getting converted into idle land by the idle brains. Okay? So now to summarize what I said so far, when Mother Earth is covered with a green saree of native species, she retains the water and there is a prosperity in the system. When we convert that saree into the synthetic saree of rubber, acacia or gliricidia, she retains the water for 6 to 8 months. That means you will lose 4 to 6 months of water. When we degrade the catchment with a forest cover less than 30%, you will have water only during the 4 months, which will make the bureaucrats happy because they will think of large scale project, diverting the water from another river from faraway places so that they can make a big money, So that's the thing. Okay. Now let me come to the Mula-Mutha catchment. The area is about 2039 square kilometer and approximately 463 square kilometer is under forest. Not very good forest, but there is forest. So then, and this is the region where the so-called purification is happening. It is like you have a hand, take out the hand, part of it, and cover it with the plastic, which looks nice. That's what they are doing, which is not going to benefit the system. From your aesthetic point of view, it looks so beautiful because you can color the plastic. Unfortunate part, children will lose the water. Children will lose the pollinator in the region. That's what I demonstrated earlier. Okay, this is that so-called 43 kilometer is the thing. Now that catchment of 2039, this one we have done the ecosystem services. Okay, what did we do? We looked at the provisioning services, the water, non-timber forest produce, fuel wood, fodder, etc. We use the residual value method, which means we are looking at only the benefit what we get from the thing. For example, if you sell the 1 ton of timber in a market, you get X amount. To extract 1 ton, you would have spent on the labor as well as the transportation. So now you deduct that from the market price, that is called residual value or seigniorage value. The forest department use the terminology seigniorage value. Now, the quantity of the goods that is coming from the market, that we got it from the forest department and from published literature. See, when we don't have the study in this region, we looked at the neighboring region, whether anybody has done the study in this one or in the annual report of the forest department like that. Then among that, if a forest department gives some data, then if some researcher has done, among that, which one is lesser? We have considered that less value for our quantification. We want to be as conservative as possible to tell the people, even with the low cost scenario, how beautiful our ecosystem is by providing the services. Then we have done the regulating services like carbon stock, carbon sequestration, soil, the nutrient cycling, pollination, etc. If you look at the publication that has been published in the country on the ecosystem service, all along people were publishing, considering the regulating services done elsewhere in the globe. Hardly there was no study focusing on India. For the first time, we could break that barrier thanks to Madam here, Shailaja Madam. She invited us to do that. We took opportunity. I told my student, this is a golden opportunity. The regulating services, what was the thing? We will quantify it with our primary data and show what is the worth of the ecosystem. Probably this will become the kind of, when we publish it, it will become a model for other researchers in India. So that is how it helps in the thing. Okay, that's what we took advantage. Then we looked at the cultural services, wherein we looked at the ecotourism, environmental education, research, etc. Then I have the spatial extent of the ecosystem. I know the condition of the ecosystem, and I know what are the goods coming. Multiply that, you get the provisioning services, regulatory services, culture. Then the combination of these three, the aggregation gives the total ecosystem supply value, which we call it as gross ecological product, which is also green GDP. Okay. So now I know that what is the TESV per year. Okay. Now with that I have computed NPV. Okay. Net present value of the ecosystem, considering the life of the asset as 50 years and the discount rate as 3%. We know that as per the Supreme Court, for renewable sources the discount rate is 2% and for non-renewable resources 4%. I have taken average of the two, so that I have no problem with the renewable or non-renewable, this one. Okay. So now this is the method what we used in our report. We have talked about it in the slides which has been circulated also. We have elaborated this. We are fortunate. My generation is quite fortunate. A lot of work has happened. We have a model called INVEST, to quantify the carbon. That's nothing different from what I did earlier with the Excel sheet. I used to go to the field, find out what is the AGB, BGB in the each type of forest, come back and then know the spatial extent and then say what is the carbon that is stored in the thing. But in the INVEST, what happens? It is like when you go to Darshini, have a food, no, you pay, you have the plate and you have it, unlike you cook at home. Okay, so that is what is the thing, and we have used that, and we cross-verified our conventional this one also. By and large, it tallies. Okay, so that's how we did the quantification, and then this gives a glimpse of the other proof of that. We stayed here. I'm missing Kedar in this room. I didn't see him. Oh, okay. And Amit, the people who took me to my team for the field work. Okay, look at that. We enjoyed, nature. I don't know why the light has to go. Using remote sensing data of a high resolution, 10 meter is available, which are freely downloadable. We didn't want to tax anybody, we wanted to make our study as cost effective as possible. When Madam spoke to me over a phone, I said, when she said we are doing the study, I said I agree to do it. Without even thinking, I didn't even take 1 paisa from them, but all the other logistics they took care. Even about 2 weeks back when she called me, she said, okay, we want to have a meeting. I said, I will come. Then she said, oh, I am not mobile, I have a slight problem. And I had when I went out, I fell down, she said. Then I asked her a question. Who allowed you to go? See, unlike other people who have only family member to question, she has a big family of activists. She has to take permission from everyone, not just her children, biological children. So she neither asked any one of you nor me. I was also part of the system because I was also traveling here. So that is on the lighter side. Okay. Now that's what that's how I am here. Initially they said virtual. I said no, I want to interact with the people. When I come and they ask the question, I want to answer that. I don't want to leave any gap in anybody's mind, because a small gap can create a ripples in the system. I didn't want that to happen. Now this gives me the extent of forest cover in the system using remote sensing data. We use the machine learning algorithm, the standard random forest. Okay. Then we did the region where that 43 kilometer, the region of influence, what is the kind of the land cover in the thing? It's almost urbanized, okay? That is the thing, and these are this one, okay? Then we also extracted the data at sub-basin level. These are the sub-basins, and these are the colored rows indicate for the regions of influence. I'm going to use the term later, okay? Then this gives the region of influence. Then we calculated the condition of the forest. This gives the forest, hardly I have to search for the intact forest. On the third day, our concluding day of the field work, when I went there with Kedar and Amit, we could enjoy some fruits and we saw some intact forest with the sacred grove. That's highlight. If you want to have conservation, the culture has to be there. The fear has to be there in the minds of the people, then only the people will conserve. Okay? So now it gives what is the extent of the forest degradation. Out of 400 plus the hectares, you see that about 400 plus square kilometer, you see that 172 square kilometer is an intact forest. Okay? Then we had an opportunity to enjoy the NTFP there. This lady was selling the thing. We had a small chat with her to find out how many times she comes to the field and all those things. That is where our Amit helped in the region, and also we took a lot of fruits from her. Okay. Then these are the items we quantified. The water. You look at the worth of the water. Water is used for drinking. Water is used for electricity generation, irrigation. We quantified that. We found out what is the amount of water used for the electricity generation and assign the value to that. Okay, so that's where it amounts to about 7,211 million rupees per year, the water. Okay, from only this Mula-Mutha catchment. Okay, then non-timber forest produce is about 42 million rupees per year. So as I said, we looked at the forest department as well as there are two scenarios, scenario 1 and 2. Scenario 1 is from the researcher in this region, and scenario 2 is the forest department. Okay, then we use the scenario 1 for the quantification, which is a lower value, 42 million rupees, whereas scenario 2 is about 76 million rupees per year in the scenario 2 as far as non-timber forest produce is concerned. Then further, we look from the remote sensing data, we know the spatial extent. When we talk to the local people, they told what percentage of the forest is accessible to that. And we know the productivity of the grasses in the grassland. And also when we talk to the local people, they said what is the value of the price of the grasses. And also there were published literature on fodder. We use that to quantify that, which amounts to about 411 million rupees per year. Okay. Then fish. We have a good data of fish from the fishery department. We used it and it shows about 109 million rupees per year. Okay. Fuel wood is about the 181 million rupees per year. Okay. Then next is the regulating services. Carbon stock, carbon sequestration, soil conservation. We quantified all these things. Something what I said earlier, for the first time in the country, all regulating services we quantified using the primary data that is available with us in the catchment area, unlike using the other values, which we call it as a benefit transfer method. See, use some European study, we use the word adapted to our condition, and then say that we have quantified the thing. We didn't want any kind of the argument on that. That's where we use the primary data and we did the quantification. And credit goes to two youngsters who are with me, the Paras and Tulika. See, the demand from me is quite high, but they sustained it, they did it. So that is where it happens, okay? So teacher has to be tough to get a good result. Okay. Now the carbon stock, which gives the path, you can see where all we have moved with Madam Revati and Bhushan. So we moved with them and we found out what is the overgrown biomass, what kind of species are there. Madam was telling us what kind of species and all. So she told me something very interesting. She talked about curry patta, curry leaves. She said that if you have it, you will not have any kind of problem. The raw one. And I tried it. I took the thing home and I planted in my garden also. It's giving sufficient leaves every day to have at least 2 leaves. And most of my problem is solved. So, okay. Now, this, you see the carbon stock is about 300 million rupees per year. And every year, the fallen leaves, etc. And NPP is about 29 million rupees per year. Like we add on the weight, the trees also add on. We found out what is the likely increase in the thing, because we know the similar experiment we have done for the similar kind of the species. We could find out how much it will increase, what is the carbon of that. And more importantly, NPP experiment people have done. Okay. Then we have the soil conservation, again using the soil, the quality, type of the soil and other parameters, we could assess the worth of that. It's about 83 million rupees per year. Then groundwater recharge is about 1,495 million rupees per year. Okay. Then nutrient cycling is 100 million rupees. We looked at the NPK. Nutrient cycling amounts to about 100 million rupees. Okay. So then pollination is about 1,432 million rupees per year. Look at the thing, the small job of the small, so-called small insects doing a wonderful job of giving the food to all of us, which is about 1,438 million rupees per year. Okay. Then the air purification. See, when you have trees in your house, you don't get particulate matter inside. You will see the dust accumulation on the leaves. Okay. Similarly, they take away the sulfur and other nitrous oxide, etc. Today, we have the sensors throughout the country through the monitoring the sulfur, dioxide, nitrous oxide, and particulate matter. We got the data for the nearby region, and we use that data to quantify the air purification. Suppose you want to have clean air, like in Bangalore, we have the air purifier. First we degrade the system, then we get a purifier and further contaminate the system, which amounts to about 177 million rupees per year. Okay. So then habitat protection is about 364 million. See, when you have the for example, the ex situ protection, you have to spend money, like zoo or anything, or even the national park, X amount is spent on that. Now, without national park, if the conservation is happening and if there are this one, what is the worth of that? It's about 364 million rupees per year. Okay. Then cultural services, environmental education, ecotourism and research. Fortunately, in the Forest Department record, we got the details. How many projects are funded in this region to carry out a study in this region? Okay. So that is where this one and then we have each other thing. Now it amounts to about 50 million rupees per year. Now aggregation of provisioning, regulating and cultural services gives the total ecosystem supply value or TESV, okay, which is also known as a gross ecosystem product. Once you have TSV per year, you can compute NPV. For the people who are non-economists, if you keep 1,000 rupees in a bank at 10% interest, every year you get 100 rupees. Now to get 100 rupees, you have to have principal amount of 1,000 rupees. Now to get every year TSV of this amount, what is the principal amount you have to have in the bank? That is the asset value of the forest. Okay. So now TSV of this catchment from provisioning, regulating and cultural services amounts to 50 billion rupees per year. And the NPV works out to be about 1,289 billion rupees. That's the worth of the forest asset in the region. Okay. Or if you take NPV per hectare, it amounts to about 6.22 million rupees. This one, RTSV is about 2,45,000 rupees per hectare per year. Okay. Then let us look at the region of influence. Since we did the entire catchment, doing this was not problem because we had computers and young researchers with me. We could calculate what is the NPV of that small region. See, the TSV amounts to about 18,114,000 rupees. Okay, whereas this one NPV is about the 466 billion rupees. Okay, that is now if I consider that project area 43 kilometer with a 100 meter buffer, because as per the norm, they are not supposed to disturb the buffer zone. If this project is disturbing the buffer zone and this one, I would say those bureaucrats have to be put behind the bars for their lifetime, for the damage they have done. Sorry?
That's good advice.
So, when academicians start speaking with the data, there won't be fear. And that's what should happen. Then you won't see the erosion in any of the ecosystem or the ecosystem services. So that's where the academician has to do the job also. So now the TSV of that, the project area considering 100 meter buffer, the area is about 1,619 hectare and TSV is about 398 million rupees per year, or the NPV is about 10,249 million rupees, okay, or 10 billion rupees. They are spending, I was told, 4,000 crores. 4,000 crore means 40 billion. Okay. Now, I have 100 and you can see that about 10 billion rupees is this one natural asset. Now, if I take that Mula-Mutha, this one, the confluence, the area which I visited, I saw the sacred grove there. Next to the sacred grove, I see the sewage treatment plant coming up. Is it our culture to use the sacred grove as a sewage pit? Very unfortunate. I don't know who took decision of that. This is not acceptable. Converting the part of this one. If gods are there, really, we are testing their existence. Should take care of the people who are responsible for that. You might say that why he is making this statement, does it work? See, in Karwar, some time back, I'll tell you, there was a region, the power plant was coming up. I think 2000 megawatt power plant was coming up. People had done some EIA. It came for a verification to me because I was a part of the team, the review team. When I went there, I saw the sacred grove. I said, you can't have the project here. They said, no, we'll get a clearance. I said, you cannot have the project. Suppose if you try to have the project, you will not be there, I said. I don't know, sometime it happens. When I came back after 6 months, I told that man died in the accident. And that project is also shut. So that is the pay they have to pay. You know, naturally it happens when the people who degrade the ecosystem, who erode the sustainability of the ecosystem, and who will also affect the intergeneration equity have to pay in that way. Okay. So there are many instances I have come across when I was traveling in the Western Ghats, irrespective of the region, whether it is Kerala or Karnataka or the Goa. In fact, last year we were in Goa. And this is this region is about 6.9 hectares, TSV is about 1.7, and NPV is about 43 million rupees. Okay, now that's right. See, the team, you know, we could do it because of the team, Kedar, okay, and all the people who are with us, you can see them and also enjoying the similar environment in the field, Amit and all these people, okay. Now, I am at because Madam has given only 5 minutes thing. She was asking consistently when I just sent the PPT to Shailaja Madam. When we had a virtual meeting, she asked me, did you publish it? I said, child is born. Even before dressing the child, you are asking me to take the child out for a play, which is difficult, I said. Okay. Now, this is what we did for the thing. See, my team study of 25 plus years, we could develop the Western Ghats Spatial Decision Support System. We could identify which villages are ecologically sensitive and what is the status, ESR 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, I will go to see, this gives you see, I launched this portal, you know where? In Shimoga, remote village, when I was invited to deliver a KV Subbana Foundation memorial lecture, well-known Kannada writer, passed away some time back. You know, I had told my colleagues, I am releasing it there, but you see the effect in Delhi. As I anticipated, within a month there was a question in the parliament about this. They were curious to know what is this ecologically sensitive thing, etc. You know why? That's because, you know, there is a PIL in the NGT, and as per the PIL, the Madhav Gadgil committee report, you know, I will not repeat what it concerns, similar to what we have done here, but at taluk level, but we did it at the village level. And then subsequently diluted Kasturi Ranjan committee report was there. So somebody filed a PIL demanding the implementation of Kasturi Ranjan committee report. At that time, NGT asked each state government to share the list of the villages in their state with their eco-sensitiveness. None of the state did it. Then expert member in NJT, because I am also member in NJT committees, he told me, TVR, you have to do something. Then I said, absolutely no problem. I will develop the decision support system so that from village to the Delhi, people will realize the impact of the eco-sensitiveness, I said. Now, if you want to find out the eco-sensitiveness, you can choose your region. Since I have been talking about Kerala, I will choose Kerala. Okay? Okay, there is some problem. So, but I will choose. Okay, Karnataka. And then you can also select the villages, that is this one, okay? You will come to know what is the eco-sensitiveness of the region. That's one part of the story, okay? Then, I'll just go back. There's some problem with the network. Okay, there's still a problem because there's a high intensity. Let us see. After that, we will see that. Then, Bangalore is in the news for the urban floods, etc. When there was a crisis for water last year, we had launched the Bangalore Urban Information System. Look at how many people have seen this within a year. 25,000 for the Western Ghat portal, whereas this is 5,000. And other work which we did was Bangalore Lake Information System. We have a credit of analyzing all the lakes in Bangalore. 3 students, 2 girls and 1 boy did all the lake for a continuously 5 years. And entire data I have put it online, including water quality, the biota, the algae, zooplankton, etc. Since you are talking about rivers and wetlands, I thought I should share this with you, and also ecosystem value of that. And also I have put encroachment. When I was talking to somebody, they said, TVR, for heaven's sake, don't put encroachment details online, they said. I said, what will happen? Then they said, we will not be able to see you the next month after you launch it, they said. Oh. Then I said, no, I want to test that. I will do it, let us see what happens. It's almost a year, nothing has happened. So, nobody can touch academician with a spinal cord. That's what we need to understand, okay? Now, back to this one. See, this is the eco-sensitiveness, ESR1. Dark green is ESR2, light green is ESR3 and ESR4. You can select and see. We also developed the app because I found that majority of the youngsters are all mobile fellows. I should give some medicine to them. We developed the app called Sahyadri, which is available in Google Play Store. You can download, you can also. Now I am in the concluding part in the last 5 minutes of my talk. What did we do for the society? Whether society benefited from my research? I have given, based on a nature-based solution, wastewater treatment plant, popularly known as Jakkur Lake. Jakkur Lake and surrounding area, there were 25 wells were there. All of them had nitrate. Look at my publication of 2005. I said there are nitrate. Nitrate is a carcinogen which introduces cancer. I pushed the government to rejuvenate the lake. And when the government constituted a committee, I was a member of the committee. I had an opportunity to put my idea there. At that time, 2 of my students had worked on phytoremediation, Ahalya and other students. So, we put the nature-based solution, constructed wetland and algal pond. And today, last 10, 12 years, we have monitored the thing. I published this work only after 10 years because I didn't want to publish it before that and make the thing. Now, today it is famous as Jakkur model or TVR model or IISc model. That is the thing. And more important thing, today surrounding that lake, there are 300 wells are there. None of them have nitrate. At least I have a satisfaction of giving a clean water to those 300 well users. That is the contribution of science to the society, benefit of the society. When I see a smile on the face, I feel satisfied of the country spending on me for my research. Okay? Then, water sustainability. I said, you do the rainwater harvesting. 70% of the water demand is taken care through the lakes, rejuvenate the lake, retain the rainwater. You might ask, what is the proof? Sarki Lake was rejuvenated about 4 years back. I was a member of the committee. Within a year, I saw the groundwater table improving from 920 feet to the 610 feet. 310 feet increase has happened. And last year, when entire Bangalore faced severe water crisis and heat wave, in Saraki Lake, surrounding area, there was enough water. Not only enough water, and because the high moisture content, temperature was 2 to 3 degree lower. That shows the model for the entire Bangalore. Okay, and when we use 18 TMC of water, we are generating 18 TMC of wastewater. If we treat that similar to Jakkur model, I have 16 TMC of treated water. That means 15 TMC because of rainwater, 16 TMC because of the wastewater treatment. I have 31 TMC, which is a sustainable option. That's where I have a 5R formula. First R is a responsible citizen. People will be responsible when they are environmentally literate. People will be sensitive when they are environmentally literate. When they are sensible, they will become responsible. That's what my country requires, responsible youth in our system. Okay, when they are responsible, they will allow the rejuvenation lake so that I can retain the rainwater, and also they allow the reuse of recycle the wastewater. Otherwise, when I write like this, people will write to me saying that, TVR, why do you want us to drink sewage water? I always tell them, come with me. When I do the fieldwork in Kaveri Basin, you will see Mysore sewage is coming to the Kaveri, which is coming to your house. That means you are drinking sewage of Mysoreans. Instead of drinking sewage of Mysoreans, why don't you treat your own sewage and drink, which will be more tasty? Okay, that is the thing. Then the next option is the creating the lakes and tanks and mini forests. And whatever we have learned, we have been talking to the students, youth. If you look at, I have given 2,000 plus lectures in various schools and colleges. Probably I am the only person, my team is the only team which conducted various programs in various institutions. Okay, so now this is the lake in the campus. You know, this is a perfect lab for my student to do the biosphere study. Not only students are happy, even I have otter in the campus. You know, which is sustained by the ecosystem. I don't go and feed the otter. Otter is a voracious eater of fish. But when we did biodiversity mapping, there is algae, zooplankton and fish and birds. That means nature knows how to maintain the system and sustain every biota in the system. And we have also solved the problem of the people. You can see the saint. Saints are known to be very powerful. But when they are in trouble, they think of the scientists. In fact, one of the saints told me, saint yesterday, scientist today. Where after the keynote address in Udupi College, he made the statement, he is a Pejava Swamiji, whom you would have seen during the Sri Rama temple. Okay? So now, this man is from Mudbidre. There was a water crisis. He called me. I told him that you just rejuvenate the lakes. 32 lakes are there. Job is done. He said, how can I do 32? I am not that powerful. I said, at least 2 you do it. He did 2 lakes. Then because he did, other 30 lakes in the taluk were rejuvenated by the local people. And last year when entire Karnataka faced the green drought with a severe water scarcity, in this region, in Mudbidre, there was no water scarcity. So this again highlights science, society, culture, spirituality has to go hand in hand. Because of that only it worked. All these people wearing saffron, no, or whatever that color, if they can take up this kind of initiative, you will not see the water poverty on the earth. That's what has to happen. And when I saw the success is because of the youth, you know, we created a lake within that his campus also, 12-acre land. We gave the idea where to create the water body, etc. When I saw the success is because of the youth, you know, where youth is there, positive energy is there. That's the beauty of the age group 20 to 25. And this man is also CEO of that institution, is also quite young. I gave medicine to create a lake in his campus, you know, which stores 25 lakh liters, and also native species planting. You know, whatever I was speaking, you see the water is there, prosperity is there with the greenery in the region. And I put it on the lighter side for the people. That's where I am missing the youth in the audience. You know, when this man met me, he was a bachelor, alone, trying to get married. Unlike Bangaloreans, the Bangalore youth, they get married. All those faceless fellows, no, through Facebook. Next month they file the divorce paper. But this gentleman, after creating this facility in the system, he gets a partner, wonderful partner who take care of the joint family. if you have a children to the marriageable age, you just try out. Go to your village and rejuvenate the lake. You will see the prosperity in your home through for your child as well as your family. Okay? Now, come to I am in the last 2 minutes. You don't want me to? Please. Okay. So, see, I was fascinated by this architecture when I was quite young. Okay? So, I felt I should have it in the campus. This spot, I got it to the campus, and there are 14 seats were there. Out of 14, 7 I planted in 7 locations with the help of my colleague Ranjit Daniels, because I didn't know how to make it, it had a hard shell, etc. So he told how the mechanical treatment, and we did it together. And in the 7 places, I planted it in my own hands. But in only one place it survived. Not all the 7. Success is not 100%, it's only 10%. And why? Now you see that it has grown so big. It is next to the building where I worked for 2 decades. That means even the plants know who will take care. Plants in that locality, if you have taken care, then you wouldn't have seen this project in the region. Don't feel bad. The truth is always slightly harsh, okay? So now in front of that my department, we created a mini forest in 2 hectares area. 49 native species, 500 sapling planted way back in 90s. You come and see today, you get a feel of the rainforest there in that region. This is the glimpse of that. Not only that, my friends are there, slender lorries, varieties of snakes and birds in the region. More importantly, the groundwater, which was 150 feet at the time, today I have a water at 10 feet and temperature is 2 degrees lower. I am demonstrating this through my own experiment that microclimate, moderation and groundwater both happens through this. Okay, if you want water, please take care of the nature. I have to put it in simpler word. Please teach your children to respect mother at home. That child will learn how to respect mother earth. There won't be any abuse of nature happens in the system. That's a simple medicine, you have to do that, okay? But because of our education system, colonial system, we have forgotten mother. That's where all these problems are happening. Okay? Now, what we learned, we are giving it to the students, and also I offer a course called Environmental Management. About a week back, I completed 23rd session. That's how capacity building at school level and college and the other levels also, working professionals, I'm doing it. Okay, we are doing it. Okay, then we also conduct a symposium, popularly known as Lake Symposium. My audience is 1,000 to 1,200. This is not one event. 14 events we have conducted at 2 years interval. And uniqueness of the event is the 30 to 35% of my audience are the school and college students. And they do a simple experiment like carbon sequestration, lake monitoring, etc. The children are trained by my students, and you can see that Dr. Karthik here. When he was a student, he was a part of this team. And the children went for the field, collected sample, they come to the lab, analyze it. In rural area, we do the neighborhood mapping. See, this is what the kind of medicine we have to give to the children so that they become eco-sensitive. Okay? And our research, we were successful in getting the Ramsar tag to the Aganashni. That, the wetland, either the port or the thermal power plant was coming up. We resisted all those things, including I wrote to the Prime Minister once. I got fed up when the port project came. I said, how long you are going to this one? It got some publicity also. But then I told the activists in the region, if I make this region Ramsar wetland, no bureaucrats will have the courage to touch it. That is where 2.5 decades research, we compiled it, we submitted Ramsar Secretariat as well as the Ministry of Environment and Forest. And in last January 30th, it was declared the Ramsar wetland of international importance. That is again another success. Then we published 2 articles in the Nature last year. And these 2 youngsters who are there, they are the author of one, the article that is on Goa. Then another one is on the Bangalore. Whatever we talked about Bangalore, etc., we are published in the journal like Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore Lake Information System. But somebody told me, you have not reached the final stage. You have to publish it in Nature. And within 4 months, we could publish it. That's what we did. Okay? So if you need more details, you can write to me. at this email ID. I don't use mobile. Okay, and these are the portal where you get the details. Okay, and you do a simple search, researchgate, TVRAMACHANDRA, you will get it. Okay. When you access my web page, it looks like this. You will see all the decision support system, information system. I coordinate environmental information system at IISc. Okay, and you will get all the papers. All my publications are available online. In fact, I was the first one to put it online in the country. Digitize the academician web page or the environmental information system. I was the first one to show the model to the ministry in the country, and I am sure Professor Joshi is here, he will add to that. Okay, so and in YouTube you will see our lecture, including the TED talk, etc. Okay, so the agenda of our science is to sow the seeds of knowledge in this young brain, and when they do a good job, we will have a smile on everybody's face. Thank you very much.